Lately, a lot of people have been wondering what the next DLC for Jurassic World Evolution 3 could be. Some fans are convinced it might be a Chaos Theory DLC, but there's something important that almost nobody is talking about. And what they said, and what they didn't say, completely changes the picture. During a recent internal meeting, Frontier's leadership actually revealed a key detail about their post-launch plans. So today, let's break down exactly what Frontier confirmed, what they stayed silent about, and why that silence matters.
But we've experienced releasing games before a movie, after a movie, at the same time of the movie. Jurassic World Evolution 3 was after the movie, and there are plenty of opportunities for us to take advantage of that movie tie-in with PDLC. We've got PDLC for Rebirth coming up.
During a meeting, she explained that sometimes Frontier releases their games before or after the release window of a Jurassic movie, because that timing affects their schedule. And then she confirmed something important. They already have a post-launch DLC planned for Rebirth, so Frontier clearly knows what content is coming next. But even with all that information, she never mentioned Chaos Theory at all. Not once. And that silence is actually very telling. If Chaos Theory were part of the early roadmap, this would have been the perfect moment to hint at it, even indirectly. Studios love teasing big content drops, especially when they know the community is already speculating about them. But instead, she focused entirely on Rebirth and the timing around Jurassic releases, without giving Chaos Theory any attention. That strongly suggests that Chaos Theory isn't the next DLC, and probably isn't even in the immediate pipeline. Frontier is clearly prioritizing Rebirth first, and their communication makes that obvious once you pay attention to what they chose to highlight and what they chose to avoid. And honestly, when you look at the show itself, it makes sense why Chaos Theory wasn't even brought up. There just isn't much content that could realistically be turned into a full DLC. The show introduced just one new dinosaurs and new skins, but it wouldn't be enough content for a DLC. So when you combine the lack of content with Frontier's complete silence on the topic, the conclusion becomes pretty clear. Chaos Theory was never going to be the next DLC, and Frontier basically confirmed that without even needing to say it directly. Now, to be fair, there are a few reasons why some people still believe a Chaos Theory DLC could happen at some point. First, Chaos Theory is still a recognizable name within the Jurassic brand. Even if the show doesn't introduce much new content, the title alone has marketing value. Frontier has reused familiar names before simply because they resonate with fans. And to be fair, there's also another reason why some people still think a Chaos Theory DLC could happen eventually. This pattern actually lines up with what Frontier did for the previous game. Back then, they started with an original DLC first, something not tied to any show or movie. Then, once the Netflix series became popular, they followed up with a DLC based on that show. And finally, during the summer, they released the big expansion connected to the major Jurassic movie of that year. So if you look at that structure, it wouldn't be completely impossible for Frontier to repeat the same strategy again. Start with something original, then explore a show that's currently running on Netflix, and later drop a larger DLC tied to a big Jurassic release. From that perspective, a Chaos Theory DLC could fit into the middle slot of that pattern, especially if Universal wants more cross-promotion. And there's one more detail that keeps the Chaos Theory discussion alive. Out of the 4 dinosaurs that were added to Jurassic World Evolution 3 so far, 2 of them actually come from this very show. So even if Frontier hasn't announced a Chaos Theory DLC, they're clearly not ignoring the series entirely. They've already pulled creatures from it, which shows that the show is at least on their radar. That doesn't guarantee a full DLC, of course, but it does mean the door isn't completely closed. If Frontier is willing to include species from Chaos Theory in the base game, then it's not impossible that they could revisit the show later with missions, cosmetics, or a smaller themed pack. So in the end, when you put all the pieces together, the meeting, the confirmed Rebirth PDLC, the complete silence around Chaos Theory, and the limited amount of content the show could actually offer, it becomes pretty clear why Chaos Theory was never mentioned as part of the early roadmap. But at the same time, the situation isn't completely black and white. Frontier has followed similar patterns before. They've added 2 Chaos Theory dinosaurs out of the 4 new species in the game, and they've shown they're not afraid to revisit ideas later in the game's life cycle. So while Chaos Theory doesn't seem to be the next DLC, the possibility isn't entirely off the table either. For now though, the only thing Frontier has officially confirmed is the post-launch DLC for Rebirth. Everything else is speculation, and that's exactly why it's important to look at what they actually said and what they chose not to say. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you think Frontier is planning next.